Praveen.
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 Ah, yeah, Praveen. Praveen means one who is expert.
Praveen. Praveen. Praveen.
Praveen, welcome both of you. So, most likely you'll be hearing Bhagavad Gita for the first time in your life, but it is very, very special. Why it is so special? Because it is directly spoken by Krishna. There is no other scripture which is so directly spoken by the Supreme Lord as Bhagavad Gita. And the most essential part of this scripture is why he has spoken this Bhagavad Gita just for our own benefit. How the living entity in the form of human life can take advantage while he continues to live in this world, and after leaving this world, he can return back to the spiritual world from where he came. Okay. So you tell them about the invocation prayers. Yeah. And then we will discuss from the seventh chapter. Om Agyana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते ताप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धु भयेव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निधि नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे. So we covered in detail the first 6 chapters. Of course, some of you spoke about the 7th chapter. I think Dayashil Prabhu spoke about the first 2 verses, and Manoram Prabhu spoke on the 3rd verses. But we will do it again, because the first verse of the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita was spoken by Srila Prabhupada. You know how many times? Prabhupada gave maximum of his discourses or lectures on 7.1 29 times. It is archived. 29 times is archived. That means it is recorded 29 times. How many more times he would have spoken? Because this verse is a very, very important verse for all those who want to practice the path of Krishna consciousness. Because these are the 6 middle chapters where Krishna starts to speak about himself. He will give knowledge about his opulence, his energies, his greatness, and his intimate relationship with his devotees. This is what we all long. So in the 6th chapter, so in the first 6 chapters rather, if you see, come this side so you can, face me. You sit here. Very few of you. So sit in a way so that we can all be visible to each other. So in the first 6th chapter, Krishna spoke, giving the emphasis on how to perform action. We are all in this human form of life. What we have only one right. We have only one adhikar. What is that adhikar? Karmanyavadhikar. We have the right to perform our duty. But when work will become worship. Many times people say, Bhagavad Gita talks about work is worship. No, not every action or every karma is worship. Most of the time, karma is condemned because karma creates bondage. When action which is performed for the satisfaction of the Supreme, when it is then offering to the Supreme, that action becomes worship. Not any action or every action. If a thief goes and robs a bank, he says, I have performed my karma. Will that action be worship? That action will lead him to get punishment. So not any action or every action is recommended in Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna spoke in the first 6 chapters how action can become sacrifice, yajna, when it is performed without detachment to the result. Most of us, why do we perform action? Because we want to enjoy the result. Why you are studying in IERI? What is the purpose? So that you can get a degree. What is the purpose of getting degree? So that you can get employment, you can get job. Why do you want to have an employment or job? Because you can earn. And what you will do with the earning? You can enjoy. So the root or the moot purpose of performing action is how I can enjoy more. Or how can I be better place to enjoy more. But that action is binding. Such action that one performs with a desire or with an intent to enjoy the result, that action itself binds the performer. That most of the people do not. How it is bound? The soul is bound. Where the soul is bound? The soul is bound in the body. And can you go to any doctor or any specialist or any expert and say, please release my soul from the body? This art is not known. So this art is taught in the body. How to have emancipation. Emancipation is complete freedom from all bondage. That is what Bhagavad Gita teaches. So in the first 6 chapters, Krishna emphasized how to perform action without being bound by the reaction. But now Krishna will further elevate Arjuna and all of us that how to perform action, that action itself becomes a worship to the Supreme. So that action which is performed in devotion. First 6 chapters were talking about action performed with duty consciousness. But now Krishna will elevate or uplift Arjuna to perform action that will become devotion. Higher than duty is devotion. Why? What is the difference between duty and devotion? What is the difference between duty and devotion? Can you try? Duty, that is a component of self. How? Good, very good. The subtle difference is when you say devotion, the prime person is not me. The prime person is the Supreme, is the Lord. Why the action is performed? To please the Lord. Very good. So that is the essential difference. So in the 6th chapter, Krishna in the last 3 verses, in the 45th, 46th and 47th, when he was concluding this section of Karma Yoga, so he says that Prayatnad yatatmanastu yogi samshuddha kilvishe. This is in the 6th chapter and 45th verse. When the yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor in making further progress, and anek janma sansiddhi tato yati paramgatim, that after many births, when all the contamination is washed away by his rigorous practice, he attains the Supreme. So a yogi, Krishna is saying, who will attain that Supreme goal? So far Krishna has discussed many varieties or types of yogis. He discussed about the Jnana Yogi. Where he discussed the Jnana Yogi? In the 2nd chapter, when he was giving the discourse between the difference between matter and spirit. Most of us, what do we think? We are matter. Are we matter? No, matter is dead. We are the spirit which makes the matter. So Krishna gave about that Jnana, that the Sankhya, knowledge. difference between matter and soul. Then Krishna also spoke about karma, how to perform action which does not bind the performer of action to the reactions of the action. So performing reaction-free action. And then he also spoke about dhyan. In the 6th chapter, Krishna spoke about dhyan yoga. So, and in the 46th verse, Krishna says that tapasvi bhavadhiko yogi jnani bhyota primato dhika karmi bhyascha dhiko yogi tasmad yogi bhava arjuna. He says that a yogi is higher or greater than the tapasvi. Tapasvi means one who performs austerity. No need in today's day to go to the Himalayas and perform severe austerities. You can get better benefit. How? By studying Bhagavad Gita. It says, tapasvi bhyo adhiko yogi. So if you become a yogi, what kind of yogi? The yogi which Krishna is recommending. That we will discuss today. So that yogi is greater or higher than in the spiritual platform than the tapasvi, who goes to the forest and lives a life of seclusion or renunciation. Then he says, Jnani bhyo api matodhika. He says, even if one studies all the Vedic scriptures, so what he becomes? He becomes a Jnana yogi. But a yogi is even higher than a Jnani. There is no need to study so many varieties of scriptures. First, we are not qualified. We don't know the language Sanskrit. We cannot study. Now do we have the austerity? Now do we have the purity? Then if we are having it also, then where is the teacher who will teach us? So there is no need. There is only one scripture which is sufficient, which surpasses all other scriptural studies. That is Bhagavad Gita. So he says, Jnani bhyo adhiko mataha. That's if you become a yogi, which I am recommending, or Krishna is here advising, so he is even higher than the Jnani. And of course, a yogi is higher than the karmi. Karmi bhyosya adhika yogi. And a yogi is, of course, higher than the karmi. So what the karmi can attain? How far the karmi can reach? Karmi can reach only to the heavenly planets. Where can the jnani reach? The jnani can only reach up to the impersonal realization. And where can a meditative or a tapasvi reach? Up to the super soul. But where a bhakti yogi can reach? He can reach the supreme personality. One devotee was giving very good example. I'll give you a practical example. You see milk? If you see the milk, what do you make out? You see it is a white liquid. Okay. But if you test the milk in the laboratory, what do you get? You get to know what are the properties, what are the nutrients, how much is the, how much liquid it is. You can, test all the properties. If you smell the milk also, what you can see? You can only get the fragrance. But how you will get the full benefit of the milk? When you drink it. Unless and until you drink it, you cannot get the full benefit. And all your estimation will be partial. Will it be factual? No, it cannot be so. So unless and until you have drunk the milk, you have tasted the milk, you cannot know the full, you cannot take the full advantage. So that is why Krishna is recommending here. A karmi is one who is able to see the milk. Or what he can see. What benefit can he get from the milk? And can he get any benefit? None. And what is the jnani who is testing the milk? So yogi is one who has drunk the milk. So yogi means one who has relationship with the Supreme. That's why Krishna is saying, Tasmat yogi bhava Arjuna. What do you become? You become my devotee. Here yogi also means a devotee. So in all circumstances, be a yogi. A yogi is greater than the ascetic, and he is greater than the empiricist, and he is better than the fruitive worker. Therefore, Arjuna, in all circumstances, be a yogi. And then he says, who is a yogi? How yogi is better? That is the final conclusion in the 47th verse. That yogi nam api sarvesh. That always api sarvesham. Sarvesham means among all the practicing yogis, among all the practitioners, that yogi who is madgatena antaratma, who is always connected with me internally. How? Because of his faith. Shraddhavan bhajate yoma. And he's always rendering devotional service to me. Faith means that one performs devotional service. That is, does not do nothing. That is not the natural conclusion of the faith. So he says, such a loving devotee who is always performing devotion to me with full faith and who is always connected to me, who abides or resides in me, is the topmost yogi. So now the point comes, so how to come to that platform? You are recommending to be a topmost yogi, who is higher than the karmi, who is higher than the empiricist, or a jnani, or is even higher than the tapasvi or a meditator. So how to become that? How to come to that platform? Then Krishna will speak the 7th chapter. And in the 7th chapter, in the first 3 verses, he will specifically talk about that yogi. That yogi who is the topmost, who is on the topmost spiritual platform as compared to all others. Clear? Got the connection? समझ में आ रहा है? मे भी अगर समझ में नहीं भी आ रहा है तो भी सुनिए. Because that is what is the benefit that we will see. Okay. So the 7th chapter is entitled Knowledge of the Absolute. So Krishna reveals knowledge about himself. This is very, very revolutionary. That the Supreme Lord is revealing about himself. Otherwise, how do we know about him? Many, you see, in many religions, they do not talk about God much. Why? Because they do not know about God. What is the conception of God? That the God is there, he is in heaven. When we were in, I have studied in a Christian school. So every day we were having assembly. Oh Lord, thou art in heaven. Have you heard this prayer? Anyone of you have been to missionary school? You have studied in missionary school? Yeah. Every day we were having assembly in the morning and we were having this prayer. Oh Lord, thou art in heaven. Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. And what is the desire and demand? Give us this day our daily bread. The Lord has the ability to give us the bread. So everyone in this human life is having which problem? Bread problem. No, human life is not meant for bread problem. Is there any bread problem in the animal life? Do they pray to Lord? They automatically get bread without praying. So our purpose of praying to Lord is not getting. This is what Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, taught us. That don't become so narrow-minded. Don't ask the Lord for bread. Automatically, Lord has provided bread for you. So what we should ask? That we should know from the Lord himself. Yeah. So he speaks the 7th chapter, one of the most relishable chapter, very nectarian chapter, because Krishna will talk about in this chapter about himself. How he is the factor behind this entire cosmic creation. How he controls the entire creation. So this chapter will speak about Krishna's majesty, his opulence, his energies, how he exercises control over this creation. And also this chapter will speak about Krishna's intimacy, Krishna's sweetness. So this chapter from 7 to 12 flowing will talk about these 2 aspects. It is called as the Krishna's Aishwarya Gyan, his majesty, his opulence, his greatness. And also in the 9th chapter specifically, Krishna will speak about his sweetness, about his relationship and his kindness, his love for the living entities. This is what we want to know about. This is what the jiva will relish. Because what the soul is looking for. The soul is looking for loving relationship. Why we are not satisfied? If you see, few years back, our asset, our properties were much less. But our happiness quotient was much higher. But what has happened now? So-called progress or advancement, is it progress or it is degradation? Why? Because the experience of happiness has become so limited, or rather it has become rare. Why? Because there is no exchange. This is called rasa. Rasa means exchange. An exchange is between two living entities. Not that. With mobile phone, you cannot have rasa. You try whatever. Everyone is now busy in mobile. They go to bed at 11, but what time they will sleep, no one knows. Why? Because the toy is there in the hand. And they will keep searching for rasa, switching from one, app to another app, from one channel to another channel. So many options they will try. If you take a survey in 1 hour, how many, searches you have got, you will be, it will be mind-boggling. Why we are surfing so much? Because we are not, Prabhupada said, why we are surfing so much? Because internally we are suffering. And that suffering, we are not finding any solution. So where is the solution? Solution is here in Bhagavad Gita. So we begin the first verse. Krishna himself speaks. He says, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, see the verse. Maya Sakta Manapartha Yogam Yunjam Madashraya Ashanshayam Samagram Mam Yatha Gyasyashi Tashunu. So Krishna says, Maya Sakta Manapartha. So what is the first recommendation of a yogi who is having relationship and connection with Krishna? That his attachment of the mind is with Krishna. Or how to come to the stage of having attachment with Krishna. Right now, where is our attachment? Our attachment is in various diverse distracted ways. Why? Because the mind is restless. The mind is not finding any peace. The mind is not finding any solace. So it is searching. So it cannot remain stable. So Krishna says, when you become asakta, when you become attached to him, when your mind becomes attached to him, how? Yogam yunjam madashraya. When you establish in yoga. Yoga means connection, linking it. And how the yoga begins? By taking madashraya, by taking Krishna's shelter. Or taking Krishna's representative shelter. So very important. So yoga and ashraya. So how one can come in yoga? When one has ashraya. One takes shelter of Krishna. So he gets connection with Krishna. And if yunjam means is practicing the process. So how one takes the shelter? By practicing the process of Krishna consciousness, this Krishna recognize. So if you become a practitioner, that means you have already connected with Krishna and you're already taking shelter. So to the extent we are practicing the process of Krishna consciousness, we are under the shelter of Krishna or his bona fide representative, and we are connected to Krishna. And when we are connected to Krishna, when we are under the shelter of Krishna, when we are practicing Krishna consciousness, then there is possibility of mind becoming attached to Krishna. That is Maya Sakta Mara. Then what will be the result? When one is practicing in this way, asansayam samagram ma. Without a doubt, samagram ma. Yatha gyasyasi tashnu. You will know me. Samagra means samyak rupena. Samyak rupena means complete. Is it possible for a living entity in the human form of life to know Krishna completely? but to the extent it is required. To the extent one can revive one's relationship with Krishna. He can know Krishna. So Krishna is giving this process of how to know him. And what is the process? Yatha gyasasi tat shruya. As Krishna speaks and as we hear, we can know him. There is no other way. How we can know Krishna? By hearing from Krishna. Tas shunu. Just hear. Try to hear. So by the process of hearing, what is the elevation? That one comes in connection with Krishna. One begins to practice the process of Krishna consciousness. One, by practicing the process of Krishna consciousness, one comes under shelter of Krishna. One gains the knowledge of Krishna. And when one gains the knowledge of Krishna, one comes to the platform of loving Krishna. To the extent one develops one love for Krishna, then his mind can stay in Krishna. Can you fix your mind in Krishna? No. Why? Because we are not practicing the process for Krishna. So how it begins? The beginning is by hearing. Hearing. From hearing, what we can elevate? I begin repeating. From hearing, we connect with Krishna. From hearing, we practice the process of Krishna consciousness. And by hearing, we come under the direct shelter of Krishna. How? By practicing. Hearing is not sufficient. Hearing should translate into practice. Practice. And by practice, what will be the result? There will be purification. And to the extent our heart is purified, we revive our Krishna consciousness, our mind will be fixed in Krishna or attached to Krishna. Okay. So Krishna is purifying the process. He is giving the process of how to become the topmost yogi simply by hearing the process of Krishna. Clear? Verse is clear? Now I go ahead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, now hear. Now hear. So who was hearing the first 6 chapters? Was Arjuna not hearing? But now Krishna wants Arjuna to hear with heart. Do we hear with heart? No. Hearing with heart means keeping the mind intact in the hearing. Who has to hear? Is it the ear which has to hear? Who has to hear? The mind has to hear. Where do we store? Where is our memory chip? Mind. So, what is the problem in hearing? Why we cannot retain anything after hearing? After the session is over, I will speak for more than 1 hour. And if you are asked to repeat for 5 minutes, that 5 minutes will become such a big span of time. Why? Because the participation of the heart is not there. The participation of the mind is not there. So hearing is done with heart. So with the, not with the ear. The organ ear only intakes. But where it reaches the heart. And where is the mind situated? Not in the head. It is in the heart. The mind is in the heart. So the heart has to hear. So Krishna is saying, hear with all your attachment of heart. Don't allow your attachment to go anywhere else. Because if your attachment is somewhere else, we cannot hear. This is the difficulty in Kali Yuga. Very, very difficult. Why? We cannot keep focus. Why? Because we are in so much distracted situation. There are so many diversions. There are so many distractions. So Krishna is saying that now here, O son of Pritha, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me with mind attachment. So Krishna is giving the process of how to attach the mind with Krishna. That is what Bhakti Yogi is. What a devotee means. What is devotion? That one has attachment to Krishna. What a karmi means? He has attachment to sense. Everyone in this world has attachment to sense gratification. But Krishna is elevating us to have attachment to Krishna. How? By hearing with heart, hearing with attention. And by practicing yoga in full consciousness. Very important. Not just hear. What did Arjuna say? After hearing, I will act as you say. Then there is the result of And then he says, you can know me in full, free from doubt. Then one can know Krishna. One can know the glories of Krishna. One can know the greatness of Krishna. One can know the opulence of Krishna. One can know the majesty of Krishna. One can know how Krishna is the cause of all causes. How Krishna is the cause of creation and how Krishna is the cause of my existence. So all this minor details, major and minor details, everything will be known to us. Free from doubt. Right now we have so many doubts. What we are thinking? We are thinking we are this body. But body is constantly changing. You meet a friend after 10 years, he says you have completely changed. What is your reaction? Do you agree? What do you say? I am the same. What changed? I am the same. What is he looking? He is thinking that your external appearance is yourself. But are you the external appearance? Are you the shirt that you are wearing today and tomorrow you will change? No. So we will know. So we will be free from all this doubt. Or we are thinking we are this mind, or we are thinking we are the intelligence, or we are thinking that whatever post position we are, or we are thinking that I am the husband, or I am the wife, or I am the scientist, or I am the student. But what will happen? Will you remain a student? After passing out, you can become scientist. So then it is constantly changing. But the actual position of the living entity is never changing. So these are all false designations. So you will become free from all falsity. So Krishna is saying, you will know me in full and free from doubt. So God realization also means self-realization. So Krishna is revealing about himself in this section. Okay. So let me go to the purport. In the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the nature of Krishna consciousness is fully described. Krishna is full in all opulences, and how he manifests such opulences is described herein. So that will be described in this chapter. Krishna will talk about his energies, his expansions, how he manifests in this cosmic creation, how we can see Krishna's hand or Krishna's existence everywhere in this entire manifest universe. So that vision, that knowledge Krishna gives to us in this chapter. And then also 4 types of fortunate people who become attached to Krishna, and 4 kinds of unfortunate people who never take to Krishna are described in this chapter. So Prabhupada is giving a summary to what this chapter will discuss. In the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, the living entity has been described as non-material spirit soul. Why? Because it is eternal and body is temporal. So it is non-material. That means it is spiritual. Okay? Don't get confused. Everything in this world is material. What material means? That it has a date of manufacture and it has a date of expiry. Simple. We talk about anything of this world or anyone, anything or anyone. Are they beyond this level? They have a date of existence or inception, and they also have a date of being extinct or expired. So the spirit soul is capable of elevating himself to self-realization by different type of yogas. And at the end of the 6th chapter, it has been clearly stated that the steady concentration of the mind upon Krishna, or in other words, Krishna consciousness is the highest form of all yoga. We discussed that. So what is the Bhakti Yogi compared to? What was the example? Remember the example? क्या example दिया था? Huh? Sorry? One who drinks the milk. Simple. Not one who sees the milk. The one who tests the milk in the laboratory. One who drinks and relishes the milk. You came late, so you did not hear that example. So by concentrating one's mind upon Krishna, one is able to know the absolute truth completely, but not otherwise. So very important. How we can know Krishna? When we focus on Krishna. If you focus on Krishna only 1% in your life, how much you will know about Krishna? 1%. But if you bring a full focus, then you can know Krishna completely. Krishna is revealing here. Impersonal Brahma Jyoti or localized Paramatma realization is not perfect knowledge of the absolute truth because it is partial. As we said, seeing the milk, testing the milk, smelling the milk, one cannot know the, one cannot get the full advantage of it. Full and scientific knowledge is Krishna and everything is revealed to the person in Krishna consciousness. In complete Krishna consciousness, one knows that Krishna is the ultimate knowledge beyond any doubt. Different types of yogas are only stepping stones on the path of Krishna consciousness. So these are different rungs. Like you see the ladder, if you have to go to the 10th floor. So how do you go? You go to the first floor and then to the second floor and then so on and so forth and finally reach the 10th floor. Yeah. So the Karma Yoga is the lower rung of the ladder. When the Karma Yoga becomes perfect, what one achieves? One achieves Jnana, knowledge. When one performs duty without detachment, what one realizes that he is not this body, he is. That is why today's world no one can realize. We can speak or we can hear that we are not this body, we are soul. But can we realize? For that, what is the criteria? The criteria is that we have to perform detached, dutiful work. Nishkam. But everywhere there is calm. There is a desire to enjoy. And what that desire to enjoy does, it bounds the soul. So we cannot realize. So when one actually does Nishkam Karma Yoga, so he comes to the higher level of Jnana. Jnana Yoga means he has knowledge. Knowledge about body, which is temporary, and knowledge about soul, which is eternal. And when Jnana matures, one can come to Dhyan. And in Dhyan also, what is the highest rung? That he can only see the super soul, Paramatma. So all these yogas lead to come to the level of knowing the Supreme. What is the purpose of Karma Yoga? To know the Supreme Lord. Or rather to know the self and the super self. That is the purpose of Dhyan also, Dhyan also. But how one can know the Supreme in completeness? That is only by bhakti. When one performs devotional. So I have discussed what is devotional service when the action is performed to please the Supreme Lord. There is no selfish motivation. The action per se is performed. Not that I perform job. And from the job, I give away 10%. That is not bhakti. That is what? At the max, it is nish. It is sakam, but a portion of it is purified because you are offering something to do. But highest is that we perform the action to people, not for our own survival or for our own purpose. So here Krishna is saying that by concentrating one's mind upon Krishna, one is able to know the Supreme Lord completely, but not otherwise. And then he gives the 3 examples. Impersonal Brahma Jyoti, localized Paramatma realization is not perfect knowledge of the absolute truth because it is partial. Full and scientific knowledge is Krishna and everything is revealed to the person in Krishna consciousness. In complete Krishna consciousness, one knows that Krishna is the ultimate knowledge beyond doubt. Different types of yoga are only stepping stones on the path of Krishna consciousness. One who takes directly to Krishna consciousness automatically knows about Brahma Jyoti, the Paramatma in full by practice of Krishna consciousness yoga. So there are some people think that one can go only by sequence or by, this ladder. Not necessary. Either you can take the staircase and go from first floor to second floor and to third floor and so on, or you can also take the elevator. If you board the elevator, then what happens? You can directly go to the 10th. You don't have to go to the first floor and stop to the second floor. You can directly go to the 10th floor. So Krishna consciousness is like an elevator where you can directly connect with Krishna. One can know everything in full, namely the absolute truth. That is the Supreme Lord. The living entities means self, the jivas, and material nature and their manifestation and with paraphernalia. So we can know everything. What is matter, what is spirit, and what is the controller of both. Krishna has already said that who is in knowledge? One who knows matter, spirit, and controller of both. So what is matter? Matter is this material world, this cosmic manifestation. What this material world is? How it comes into inception? What are the changes in it? And how it unmanifest. And it can also know about the spirit soul, the self. So what is our existence? It is a combination of both. We are having the element of matter, that is this body, and also the element of matter, which is the subtle body. And we are also having, spirit soul. So we have combination of both. But the problem is misidentification because of not having proper knowledge. So Krishna says that one will get the full knowledge. So how? By the process of hearing. Very important. So the emphasis in the process of karma, in karma yoga, where is the emphasis? The emphasis is on performing action. In Jnana Yoga, where is the emphasis? Is on study. In Dhyana Yoga, where is the emphasis? On meditation. But in Bhakti Yoga, where is the emphasis? Hearing. Just hearing. Which is simple. Which one is more simple? Hearing. But how hearing is to be done? Mind attached to it. There is the difficulty. It is simple, but not so simple. But what it entails full attention, full absorption. One should therefore begin yoga practice as directed in the last verse of the 6th chapter. Concentration of the mind upon Krishna, the Supreme, is made possible by prescribed devotional service in 9 different forms, of which Shravanam is the first and the most important. The Lord therefore says to Arjuna, Tas Shunu, or hear from. So we don't have to speculate of how the Supreme Lord is, what is his position, what is his greatness, what are his energies, how he manifests in this material world. He will reveal about himself completely. What we have to do? We have to accept knowledge from him. As simple as that. Like you are all studying in IERI. How do you get the maximum benefit? By going to the library and reading on your own. Why do you have to come to the classroom? When all the knowledge that you require is already there in the book. Is it not there? Whatever knowledge you require, is it not contained in the books? But why can't you download the books in your intelligence and clear your PhD? Why do you need a guide? You need a guide or you don't need a guide? Why do you need a guide? Because without his intervention, this knowledge will not translate. This knowledge will remain in the book. This is what Krishna is saying. And how this process begins of translation or transformation is through the hearing process. Hearing process. So hear from me. No one can be a greater authority than Krishna. And therefore, by hearing from him, one receives the greatest opportunity to become a perfect Krishna conscious person. So what is the benefit of hearing? That one becomes perfect Krishna conscious. Not imperfect. All imperfections are removed from. One is therefore Krishna dies, or from a pure devotee of Krishna, and not from a non-devotee upstart puffed up with academic education. Then Prabhupada quotes these verses from Srimad Bhagavatam. That in the Srimad Bhagavatam, this process of understanding Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the absolute truth, is described in the 2nd chapter of the 1st canto as follows. So here also the glory or the importance of hearing is mentioned. So how hearing can uplift the person to come to know and realize the Supreme Lord? So there are series of verses. I will read them. You just hear. Shanvatam swakatha Krishna Punyo Shravana Kirtana Hidayantasto hi abhadrani vidhunuti shuhitsata nashpraishu abhadreshu nityam bhagavad sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki तदा रजस्तमो भावा कामलोभादयाश्च ये चेतयेते रनावृद्धिं स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति एवं प्रसन्न मनसो भगवद्भक्ति योगतः भगवतः विज्ञानम मुक्त संगस्य जायते भीद्यते हृदयागन्ते छीदयन्ते सर्व संशया श्रीयन्ते च कर्माणि दृष्ट्वा एव आत्मनीश्वरे. So this series of verses is speaking that how this process of hearing, it elevates and uplifts the practitioner. So just by hearing, Shanvatam Swakatha Krishna. This hearing is not like ordinary hearing. Not by hearing like, we are hearing from the internet or we are hearing from YouTube or from so many other channels. Hearing about Swakatha, Krishna Katha. Krishna Katha, we are hearing about Krishna Katha. What is the result? Punyam. It is purifying. It is uplifting. It purifies the hearer. So when you are coming here and you are attending this session, what is the gain that you are getting? You are getting the purification process. The contamination from the heart is getting washed away. You may not know it. Can we know it? No. Like you take a medicine, you take a pill of medicine. It's a small medicine. And when you have pain in the back, somewhere in the brain. And what that medicine does? It goes into the system inside. And what it does, it dissolves and it adds with your blood and it reaches the affected area. And what it does, it cures or heals. Isn't it? If you try scientifically to find the path, how it has happened, can you trace it? If materially it can happen, so what about spiritual part? So this Katha, Krishna Katha, and the best form of Krishna Katha is Bhagavad Gita. This is directly spoken by Krishna. So it is Punya. It is Punya Shravana. It is very purifying. To whom? Who is hearing. And also when you are hearing, somebody has to speak. Isn't it? Like I am speaking here. So one who is glorifying Krishna, glorification of Krishna is called Kirtana. So Punya Shravana, Kirtana. So the process of Shravan and Kirtan. It is purifying for both. It is purifying for one who is hearing, and it is also purifying for one who is speaking. And how it purifies? Hide antasto hi abhadrani. Why? Because Krishna Katha reaches from the air where it reaches? To the earth, it reaches to the heart. So what is inside the heart? Hide antaha. Anta means inside. And inside, what is there in the heart? Abhadrani. Bhadra means which is good, which is auspicious. And Abhadra which means is inauspicious. So what all that which is inauspicious, where it is stored, where is our memory? Inside the heart, in the mind. What is there? We have envy. We have anger, isn't it? So all the unwanted things, all the contaminated things, where are they? Inside the heart. So what Krishna Katha does? It removes the contamination. All the anarthas, all the useless things. Artha means which has value or which has some meaning, both. And anartha means which has no value and no meaning. So greed, lust, anger, envy, illusion, does it have any value? Can you go to any practitioner, a medical practitioner, and tell that please give me one pill which can remove anger from my mind? Can the doctor give? But Bhagavad Gita is giving that therapy, that medicine. So whatever there is there in the inside the heart, antaha, hriday antaha, which is inside the heart, which is contaminated. What it can be done? Vidhunoti Shubhitsana. It can be washed away. It is washed. From where? Internally. And Nast Prayeshu Abhadreshu. So almost all of it, if you are daily hearing, you are regularly hearing, what it will do? The cleansing process will continue. And almost all of it will be washed when you are having Nityam. When you are daily. So this practice of hearing is not one time. To nourish the body, to sustain the body, do we eat once in a day or once in a week? What do we do? We eat multiple times. So if we have to wash which is contaminated inside, what we have to do? We have to do Nityam Bhagavad Sevaya. We have to hear the Krishna Katha Nitya. Nitya means at least daily. Higher level of Nitya means constantly. But at least minimum to the threshold of at least daily here. Out of 24 hours, we can have at least 15 minutes every day. 15 minutes is how much out of 24 hours? 1%. Grossly 1%. So 99% you can remain in your own absorption, but at least give 1% for your spiritual upliftment. इतना तो कर सकते हैं अपने लिए 1% दे सकते हैं या नहीं वो भी संभव है. My teacher was telling me he met a person and he said that please do some spiritual activity. He said, Swami ji kaise karega? I have no time. People in this world, they are so much in illusion that the time is killing them and they are saying that they have no time. So he asked, how much time you can give? He said, just 10 seconds. How much I can give? 10 seconds. What to say? He said, okay, at least you water the tulsi leaf 3 times. It will take less than 10 seconds and circumambulate. At least you will get some purity. That in your life you can realize the importance of spirituality. Because people are so much bewildered. They are so much into illusion that what is beneficial, they are not interested. And what is destructive, they are more sensitive. So, Nash Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavad Sevan. So, and this by hearing what you are doing, you are serving Krishna. This is another uniqueness of devotional service. Devotional service is completely different from puja upasana that you do. What you are thinking that I am very religious. Every day morning I am waking up and doing arti and doing puja and doing japa. But devotional service is completely different. That is ritualistic kind of worship. That is within karma. But devotional practice is hearing from Krishna. And Krishna says in the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, he will say that this worship is higher than all other worship. Why? Because this worship you are doing with intelligence. Hearing about Krishna is the higher form of it. And in this worship, what happens? In the process, you get purified and Krishna becomes pleased. See how simple it is. It is, gains in both the hands. Krishna is also pleased. You are performing devotional service and you are getting the benefit of purification. And how it purifies? What is the process of purification? Tada rajas tamo bhava. The lower modes which are there, the influence of the lower mode, which is rajas and tamas, which creates what? Kama and lobha. Isn't it? In our heart is always feeling some emptiness. It is unsatisfied. Why? Because lust is there. It's residing in the heart. Kama. And also there is lobha. Lobha means greed. So all this calm and lobe is there. Why? Because we are influenced by the mode of rajas and tamas. Lower mode of passion and ignorance. So when the mode of passion and ignorance is eliminated and you are elevated to mode of goodness, kama and lobha, what it will be? Cheta etar anavritim. It will be destroyed, or it will be dispersed. And where you will be situated? Stitam Sattve Prasidati. One will come to the platform of goodness, Sattva. If you come to the platform of Sattva, you are beyond both Tama and Rajas. Unless and until you come to Sattva, Kama and Lobha can never be removed. That is why no change happens. Every year we try, every new year there are new resolutions. New year, new resolution, new conception, new promise. But what is the result? Same. Why? Because you are in the lower world. Till that time monsoon prevails, can the mosquitoes be eliminated? When the monsoon gets over and there is winter. Because in the monsoon, this is the time for the breeding of the mosquitoes. You get the point? I'm giving you an example which you can relate. So if you remain in the same situation where you are influenced by the lower modes, if you remain in the same association where you are, and they will keep influencing you, how can you change? You will not experience any change. You will remain the same. So what you have to do, you have to uplift yourself. So how the upliftment is done? By hearing what is not needed, what is not desired, Rajas and Tama, which is the cause of Kama and Lobha, they are all dissolved. And one comes to the platform of Sattva, Shuddha. Sattva means purification. So unless and until you are purified, you cannot come to Sattva. Normally we are in which gun? Rajas and Tamas. And when one is coming in this Sattva gun, what is the result? Evam prasanna manaso. His mind, his heart is gladdened. What he experiences? Joy. What he experiences? Fulfillment, satisfaction. And what? How? By performing Bhagavad Bhakti Yogata. He is performing Bhakti Yoga. How the process of Bhakti Yoga has begun? Just by hearing. Hearing. And by hearing and coming in Sattva Gun, Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam, he can know the science of the Supreme Lord or self-realization. Not otherwise. So you have to see, this is the step-by-step process. How? By hearing what happens? There is punya, purification, and removal of contamination from the heart. You uplift from the lowermost to come to the Sattva Guna. And when you come to the Sattva Guna, you experience joy. And not only you experience joy, the knowledge is revealed to you. And when the knowledge is revealed to you, you can know the Supreme Law. And one is Mukta Sangasya Jayate. Then one becomes liberated. Liberated from where? From the conditioning, from the entanglement, from the three modes. Then in that stage, Bhidate Hridaya Gantis Chirante Sarvasabhya. So in the Hridaya, in the heart, whatever doubts are there, the doubts are very deep. They cannot be removed so easily. So all the doubts which are there in the heart, they will completely be eliminated. Why? Because you have received knowledge. What doubt means? Doubt means there is lack of knowledge. That is why one is in doubt or delusion. If clarity is there, where will there be any doubt? Why clarity is not there? Because knowledge is not there. One is in ignorance. And Shiyante Chasya Karmani. And he will be relieved from all the reactions of his action. And Drishta Evatmanishware. And what will be the realization? He will see the Lord face to face. Drishtva means to see. Eva, he can see the self, who he is, the spirit soul, and he can also see Atma, and he can also see Ishvara. See, so beautiful. Just by the process of attentive hearing. But it is not easy. It's not easy. It is easy, but people are not so intelligent to take the easy process, the advantage. So see, to hear about Krishna from Vedic literature or to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita is itself righteous activity. It is Punya Shravana. And for one who hears about Krishna, Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart, acts as the best well-wishing friend and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him. Because Krishna is there in the heart as a super soul. So when Krishna sees that we are hearing about him, Krishna becomes very active. He helps us. Why? Because he is the well-wishing friend. In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge. As he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam and from the devotee, he becomes fixed in devotional service of the Lord. By development of devotional service, one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance, and thus material lust and avarice. Avarice means jealousy or feeling of uh, opposition. Lust and avarice, attachment and avarice are diminished. When these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness. Titam Sattve Prasidate, becomes enlivened by devotional service and understands the science of God perfectly. The Bhakti Yoga severs the hard knot of material affection and enables one to come to the stage of asamshayam shamagram, understanding the supreme absolute truth of Godhead. Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotee in Krishna consciousness, one can understand the science of Krishna. A very powerful process of hearing. So you have the opportunity in IARI, but still, how many are coming to hear? Do we charge you? Do we ask you any fees? You are getting the highest benefit just by coming and hearing. But how many are willing to take? How many? Krishna will speak. He will say, there will be amongst millions, there will be few. Amongst millions, there will be only very few. It is not, this is nothing new. You don't have to be, worrying why people are not coming. Because the people in age of Kali, they are so much bewildered that what is the benefit, they will never agree. And what is most destructive, they are more inclined to do. Then in the second verse, Krishna says, Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshyami asheshata yadgyatvane bhuvivanyat gyatavyam avashyate. Here he says to you, in full this knowledge, both phenomenal means about this material creation of this entire cosmic manifestation, and numinous means spiritual. So both, just by hearing you can know both matter and spirit. What happened? You have to go. That's it. We will discuss this verse next time. Okay, that is, what is the time? 9? Reaching 9? Okay, never mind. We discuss the first verse, very important verse, the importance of hearing. Just by hearing, we can come to the complete realization of the Supreme Personality and not otherwise. Okay, so I'll stop here. If there are any questions or there are any doubts or queries, please ask.
But, like that's why yoga and
Yoga? Yeah. The Krishna has spoken about various other forms of yoga. In the first 6 chapters, Krishna principally speaks about karma yoga. How to perform action with detachment. So brings one to the level of duty. Yeah. Because if one performs duty, one gets purified. One becomes eligible to receive the knowledge. Without being purified, one cannot receive. Okay. And when one receives knowledge, one becomes detached. And one will not be entangled by the action that he performs. So that is Jnana Yoga. And then there is Dhyana, the meditative process. When one is able to focus his attention on the Supreme. Even if one takes to this path, he can come to the realization of the super soul. Super soul who is dwelling in everyone's heart. So Krishna recommends that Arjuna, you don't become a karmi. We don't become a tapasvi or meditative, or you don't become a jnani. Rather, you become a yogi. And what is that yogi? One who is always attached in mind to me. And how one can become attached in mind? Krishna is giving the process. So how one can become attached to Krishna in mind? By your hearing. Yes. If we can hear attentively and we can act upon hearing, then we can know Krishna. That is the highest position. Okay? Hare Krishna. Okay, any other question from the online viewers? This verse, as many times as we discuss, is less. It can be discussed in various lengths. So from hearing comes the purification. And from purification, there are no distractions. Why we are having so many distractions? Because we are having so many contamination in the heart. And when we have focus, when we hear with focus of Krishna, we can develop attachment to Krishna, absorption in Krishna. And then what is the result? Is he speaking here? There is emancipation. You are becoming free from the lower mode. You are becoming free from all the unwanted things, the polluted things in the heart. And you are situated in the mode of goodness. And you can realize yourself and you can realize the Supreme Lord. And you can perform devotional service and achieve perfection. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.